Good afternoon, everyone. Great to be with you again. Brad Macbeth here with the Simple Plan Live. And today we're going to be looking at that most wonderful time of the year for everybody, tax time. Yes, here in Canada, tax time is coming up in about 35 days, though actually you've got a little bit of leeway this year. We'll talk about that. Or if you're in the US, that comes up on you faster, mid-April, April 15th. But we're going to be talking about Canadian tax issues today. And so I invite you to settle in, and we're going to just kind of breeze through some of this, provide you with some good resources. This is fundamental stuff, but a lot of times some of us aren't aware of fundamentals or just need a reminder of them. And so amidst all the noise, hopefully this will help you in your getting ready to do your taxes for this year. We want to thank the Simple Plan community for sponsorship. That's a great place where we go and talk about all these issues. You can join us there, facebook.com/groups/Simple Plan community. Come on in there. And we answer questions. We have great discussions. It's a great place for people who are trying to make the most of their finances, which of course is on a lot of people's minds these days with the combination of, well, it's all really inflation related, I guess, but inflation and especially what's going on in the grocery stores and what's happening painfully at the gas pumps. Prices seem to be ranging from about $1.45, maybe, might even be as low as $1.40 in Alberta, all the way up to $2.10 and perhaps beyond sometimes in the lower mainland of British Columbia. So I just want to get right to it. We'll cover some of this, make it, we want it to be easy breezy today. So I'm going to start with this guy, Tim Sesnick. Now, don't be fooled. I've been following him for a long time, and he's been using that picture for a long time. He's definitely not that young looking anymore. But he is a real good Canadian expert on tax matters for families. And so you can find him at the Globe and Mail. So you can look up his articles there. Globe and Mail, just search for Tim Sesnick. And he's got a great long list of articles there that have been around for a long, long time. And so let's hop over to one of those very articles now, and we're just going to go through some of these sensible tax tips that Tim Sesnick is pointing out. They're going to be very helpful for you. So of course, if you made an RRSP contribution for 2021, you'll be entitled to a deduction. Now, you can use this for your 2021 taxes, but if you don't need all of that deduction, and your tax software might optimize that for you, or better yet, talk to an accountant or someone who's got some expertise in doing taxes as to how much of that tax, that RSP contribution, you want to claim in 2021. You'll also have, quite possibly, two different T-slips, one that came January, maybe February, that is for contributions you made in the calendar year. Well, that's actually not the calendar year, from March 1st, 2021 through to December 31st, 2021. And so those contributions are available to be used for 2021. Or of course you can carry them forward. Now, you may also have made contributions in the first 60 days of 2022. That is until the end of, well, the 1st of March this year. Those contributions can be used for 2021. They're in there soon enough to be used for that. Or of course they can be used in the future as well. But you would receive a separate T-slip for that. You receive a T-slip for the contributions you made in 2021 during the, actually contributed in 2021. And then for those that you made in the first 60 days of 2022. I'm not going to go through all of this. There's lots of interesting stuff in here. You can transfer up to half of eligible pension income to your spouse, though there's some implications to that. You may be able to transfer Canadian dividends, business activity. So if you carried on any kind of a business, which that can include a side gig, depending what you're doing, definitely can include things like rideshare services or delivery services, such as Skip the Dishes, etc. Any of those can qualify as being a business, and you can take appropriate deductions for that. But you'll have to also uh, uh, make good evidence that that is actually a business for you. Um, some people can claim moving expenses. Most can't, but some can. So you definitely want to look into that. Carrying charges, things like interest that you pay when you borrow money to invest. The interest is deductible. It doesn't qualify on your home mortgage, so that doesn't work in Canada. But other things, like if you've borrowed money to put money into mutual funds or stocks or what have you, there's also fees that may go along with that for non-registered accounts. You can't claim fees on registered accounts like TFSAs and RSPs. Or if you use your tax preparation software or accountants or what have you, um, you can make those as deductions as well. Some people may have employment expenses, um, medical expenses. Those have to reach a certain threshold to be, you know, accomplishing much or creating deductions. Charitable donations, one of the things you may not know is that for couples, either person can claim the charitable donation regardless of who made the donation. So it always makes the best sense to deduct from the highest income earner. Um, so keep that in mind. And there was Canada Training Credit in 2021 as well. So if you paid for some training, you might want to look up whether what you took qualifies and whether you'll be able to deduct that. That actually started in 2020. I just have a few more here I'm going to run through. Um, Obviously, childcare expenses, there's deductions for that. We've got, if you're a caregiver, you may well be able to make some deductions there. You'll definitely want to look into that. One other thing that applies to many people is the simplified home office tax credit. Now, business use of home has been around forever, but fairly strict rules around it, both in terms of what qualified as a business, also how the deduction was applied for whatever space you were using in your home. However, because of COVID and so many people, well, pretty much everybody, almost everybody, was sent home to work early in 2020, and many still do. They established a simplified home office tax credit for 2020 and 2021, and that one I don't think you have to actually even provide a lot of receipts for. Um, the basic deduction there is $500 if you worked more than 50% of the time from home for a period of at least 4 consecutive weeks due to COVID-19. You can also claim $2 for each day you work from home during that period. Maximum $500. So you definitely want to take advantage of that if that applies to you. And so there's many different little things, and this is why I think it's important that you get the right tax completion support, let's put it that way, that suits you. Okay, so for many of us, we can do our taxes. So let's go look over at the CRA website and let's talk about actually completing your taxes there. Oh, I'm going to fire the links for these things into the comments as we go here. All right, there's one. All right, so I'll just move that down there. There's Tim Sesnick's website. It's on your screen, but you'll also be able to see it in the comments. Here's the particular article we were looking at. And so now we're going to go look at that's a big one. All right, now we're going to look at due dates and payment dates with CRA. CRA really likes to get their money when they think they're owed it. And so the filing dates, so the date by which you must complete and file your tax return for people who are have regular work employment, that is conventionally April 30th, but this year April 30th is a Saturday. So you actually have until Monday, May 2nd to submit your tax return. Now, most of us, or many of us at least, are filing online. So that just means getting it done and making sure you click that button if you're net filing on that by midnight, May 2nd on Monday. So you actually get a couple extra days there this year. Now, if you or your common law partner or spouse are self-employed, you can both defer to the self-employed deadline, which is the 15th of June. So you get some extra time. Now, however, if you owe money, if you're going to owe money, yes, you can file your return as late as June 15th, but you have to have sent CRA the money by April 30th. They don't give you leeway on that. So if you believe you're going to have to pay, you could always send them an approximate amount that you think you're going to pay. You could overpay them somewhat, and then when you actually file on the 15th of June, you'll get your small difference, the small refund back from that. But you definitely, if you owe money, want to make sure that you are filing, that you're paying any amount owed by April 30th. You get the May 2nd this year. So May 2nd, 2022, that Monday, you have to have made that payment. Now, if you're self-employed or your spouse is self-employed, both of you can defer filing your returns until June 15th. All right, so hopefully we're clear there on the deadlines. And here's that information page in the comments, probably an even longer URL, so we'll see how that appears on the screen. So here's the next topic of great interest. Auto-filling your return. Because you might have heard like, well, CRA will do your taxes for you, that kind of thing. It's not exactly true, but what you can do is autofill your return. So if you have simple, well, you can do it for everything, but you have to have, to make this be kind of the complete package where most of it is done this way, you have to have fairly simple taxes. And so what happens is you need to use a piece of tax filing software that is suitable for your purposes, that is equipped with NetFile. And so we'll talk about NetFile in a minute, but that's basically connecting directly to the CRA website. And so when you NetFile, you just click the button to file your return. Myself, I always make sure I keep a PDF of the return as well, but that's not what gets sent to CRA. You just click the button and the data feed gets sent directly to CRA. We'll talk about that a bit in a minute. Now, within some of these softwares, you can opt to have CRA autofill. So what's happening there is employers, investment companies, banks, and others file T-slips. They create T-slips, so you get those slips in the mail from you, or in your email or whatever, from your employer. You get them from your mutual fund company or your bank or whoever you use for that. Perhaps you get it from your self-directed online trading account like Questrade or whatever you use. And you get those slips, and then normally you're entering that information dutifully into your tax software program. But you don't have to do that with many of these programs. They now have the ability to autofill the return, which means you simply click, agree, yes, you want to autofill. Now, in order to autofill, you have to have a CRA online account. So when you click the autofill, it's going to ask for your CRA credentials. You're going to put them in there, and then everything that's been sent to CRA about you, so your RSP slips, your T4 slips with your employment income, T5 slips if you receive those for pension income or commission sales income or other income, or any other of those types of T-slips that get filed with CRA, because when they're sent to you, they're sent directly. they're sent directly to CRA as well. And so CRA is just then going to download it right back into your tax software. So you don't have to sit there entering all this information or risk the problem of potentially, fat fingering it and messing up some information in there. So I really like using that feature. Obviously, I like to double check, make sure it went in correctly, but I definitely like that feature. So in order to do that, you have to be registered for a CRA My account, which if you're not, I highly recommend that you get your CRA account, your My Service Canada account, all that stuff set up. It's not a problem anymore. It's actually pretty easy now because you can use your, if you're using most kind of mainstream banks, you can use the login credentials from those. And that is, they will connect, and then you'll just go and enter your credentials from your banking, and it will log you into CRA. CRA is basically using their authorization system to authorize your way into CRA's system. Anyway, get that. It's really, I remember it was very painful years ago to set it up. I don't know if it's still slightly painful, maybe it is, but now I just log in with banking information, and it's very easy. And you can get all your tax information, your history of tax returns. You can also get your Canada Pension Plan information, your old age security information, all sorts of other great stuff. It's very time saving. So your My account for CRA or My Service Canada, you want to get those set up for sure. All right. So let's just pop the link in there for that information about how to autofill your return. And if you're not registered for My account, let's see. This page, by the way, you really have to read these pages carefully. I don't know who writes this stuff for them. It's not always clear what they're saying. You have to kind of really think hard about it, how they're saying it, and go, okay, I get it now. Not the easiest approach, but fantastic once you've got it set up. All right, so the other thing is NetFile that I referred to. So what NetFile is when you use these software programs for doing your taxes, they will, you press the button when you're done and it all goes in. Now, I make it sound very simple. There's a lot of error checking goes on. There's just a bunch of steps. You have to have your NetFile information code from your Notice of Assessment, which is the document that you receive after you last filed your income taxes. There'll be a NetFile code on there. Now, if you don't have that, but you have a CRA account, you can log in there and find that information there as well. So you need that code in order to do that. Okay. So they talk about that there. The reason I wanted to show you this page is looking at the certified tax software. So if we scroll down here on this page, where is that page? Okay, so there's two links here. Free products and products with pay that you want. Or sorry, free products and products with pay what you want. So the first thing to know is that all of these, where is that information? All certified tax software approved for the years indicated and include Autofill My Return and Notice of Assessment services. So let's have a look. Here's the free ones. So you'll see, now if you have back taxes to file, you can also do this, but you need to make sure that whichever software you're looking at is eligible to do this for the years that they're mentioning here. I guess you could look at using a desktop version of these things. I haven't for years. I always use the online version. But, you know, suit yourself. And so these ones are either free or you can pay what you want. And some of them obviously come from other companies that do other things like Wealthsimple. Um, now, or they're known name brands like H&R Block, which most people have heard of for filing taxes. Now you can also go with the paid products um, that have, and some of these have free offerings as well. UFile is certainly a popular one. Um, I think I must use TurboTax. The one I use is from Intuit. Where is it? Yes, TurboTax. I don't, I use the one on my computer, not on my phone. Um, but here's the caution. Um, get the product and the service that's appropriate for two things: for your particular situation, but also the amount of time you're willing to put into this. So if your situation is simple, let's say you're an employee, so all your income is T4 income, your spouse is as well, and maybe you've got a different kind of deduction, a caregiver deduction or what have you, but nothing too exotic. You made some RSP contributions. Maybe you got some T-slips saying that you earned some interest or dividends from your investments. That stuff's all very straightforward, and you'll need perhaps some documentation around your caregiver situation, but other than that, it's all T-slips. By all means, just use the fairly basic online or whatever software you use system. You'll be fine. There's lots of error checking built into these things. They go through questions. I'm not advocating for it, but I can certainly say the TurboTax one, it just goes through a lot of questions. Now it takes time. You're going to spend, plan to spend 2 to 3 hours. Maybe it'll only take you an hour. Maybe it'll take you 20 minutes. I'd say that's less likely, but because you've got to get your information in there correctly, and you've got to go through all the questions, many of which will have the answer, no, this doesn't apply to me, but still you have to go through the questions. Now, if, let's say, you've got a side hustle of some kind, or you are a landlord, maybe you've got a suite in your basement, or maybe you have, one rental property. I'd say, yes, you can certainly do this yourself still, if you're willing to spend some time on it, because you want to get it right. You don't want to get yourself flagged by CRA. I've been audited before, and it all was fine. Nothing untoward came out of it all, but it's painful. It's very time consuming, and you got to pull out a bunch of records, and it's fairly miserable stuff. So CRA flags certain types of filings. And they have periods where they look at certain things. So, for a particular range of time, maybe they're going to look at smaller landlords. Maybe they're going to look at home-based businesses. Maybe they're going to look at, particular classes like people who work in restaurants or realtors or whatever. And so you want to do as much as you can to not kind of put a little red flag up that gets you on their list to look at. And so I would say, if you have a simple side hustle or you have a simple landlording situation, then sure, and you're willing to put the time in, then go ahead and do it on your own with the help of software. Make sure you buy the right software. It's always tempting to go, oh, the one with the landlord is, it's $80, whereas I could use the free one. It's like, do not attempt to save that money. The potential of getting it wrong, which could well lead you to paying more tax than you need to, or getting it wrong, which puts up a red flag so that now you're getting audited. Believe me, that far, far outweighs, saving 50 or 80 or $100. Similarly, if you're a business owner, again, if it's pretty simple, sure, do it on your own. But if you have more elaborate landlord situations, like you've got even more than one property, I would say, then or if you own a small business, I would say you should start looking at getting accounting help. You should be consulting with an accountant and getting that help just to at least make sure you've got things on track. And most accountants that are taking on new clients, will say, well, I can do this or that. You can opt for the level of service you want. But I would opt for getting the taxes filed through the accountant, because then they've got some responsibility for it. Of course, their responsibility ends at the end of the information you give them. That is, their filings are only as good as the quality of information you give them and the honesty of the information you give them. And by the way, don't try to do anything tricky, sneaky, or things that you wonder about. If you're wondering about whether something's legitimate, then you can get that question answered. You can call CRA, you can talk to an accountant, you can probably file a question somewhere online. You can probably search it on YouTube and get an answer. But don't try to sneak something through. It just isn't worth it. CRA is very slow. And so you may get away with something for a time. You may get away with it permanently, but you may get away with something for a time. But it could be 2 or 3 years later where they kind of catch up and start asking questions. And you just don't need that grief. You really don't. We should all be paying our fair share, but we should all be striving to not pay anything more than our fair share. And so this is why I'm saying get the accounting help if you're in a situation that requires it. So, don't try to run a 30-person small business with all sorts of, inputs and outputs, or don't own multiple properties that carry inventory or what have you, without accounting help. You definitely need that. All right, so I'll post our last clip up there. And yeah, so that's the basics, just fundamental stuff. I just wanted to kind of help you get your head in the game for tax time. Maybe you're not ready to do it. Come back, watch this again in a couple of weeks or 3 weeks or mid-June if you're waiting that long. And, take care of those things. So again, just take care of business. It really is important to take care of these things, do them well. It will make your life much simpler, much easier. Many of your government benefits are tied to you filing your taxes. So for example, if you have not filed your tax return by July 1st, you are not getting provincial pharmacare. We have that in British Columbia and perhaps in other provinces. You're not getting your GST rebates. You're not getting your child tax benefits. You're not getting all these other things that the government programs provide if you haven't been filing your taxes, because they're based on that. So if you have arrears, gosh, get that cleaned up. Your life will be much happier. Take the time. You can do multiple filing years online. There's our last website. You can do multiple years online, and it'll catch up. You'll have to go through the pain of dealing with whatever it is that, maybe you'll get a big windfall. Here's the other bad news. If you're not filing and you're more than a year behind, you'll find that you're losing some of your benefits completely. That is, for the period that you had them. It's just, they say, well, too late, too bad, so sad. So you want to file. Just get that stuff in. And if you don't not file because you owe them money. Always file and then go work with them. They'll work out a payment program, whatever. Be sure you follow the payment program if you need to set one up. But don't avoid filing your taxes because you owe them money. Because A, you're going to lose out on those benefits. So you're just digging yourself into a deeper financial hole. And B, it's not like they don't know. So again, they'll be slow.
but they'll start sending you statements saying you owe us this much money. Here's the other thing: if you don't file long enough, they'll just decide how much you owe from those years, and they can send you some real whopper statements. And they won't correct it until you do file. So just file. Don't be fearful. Take care of business. Run your things. Run your life like a boss. Okay, so that's it for tax time. If you've got any questions, then you know what? You can bring them into the Simple Plan community. Join us there. You can join. It's free. Facebook.com/groups/Simple Plan community. We post all our lives in there. We answer people's questions. Happy to do so. So if you want to travel with some fellow sojourners who are on the path to make the most of the money they've been given to steward, then join us there, won't you? And listen, if you want some direct help, we're happy to spend 15 minutes chatting with you, getting to know you, seeing if there's something we might be able to help you out with, answer some questions, or whatever it is. You can do that. Go to go.getthesimpleplan.com/calendar new. Whoop. Let me post that in the chat box as well. And just sign up there. You can pick a time that works for you. And we'll be happy to spend some time with you, answer any questions you've got. Once again, I really appreciate you taking the time to spend with us. I hope this is helpful to you for your tax time this year. I'm Brad Macbeth. This is the Simple Plan Live. It's been great being with you, and we look forward to being with you again next week when we're going to talk about love and money, how money operates inside your romantic partnership, and some tips and tricks for that, and why you really want to be on top of that. Thanks again. We'll see you again soon.